Hi, we are bringing you a special episode today, all from Rise for Disability, which occurred in Kent just a few weeks ago. So settle down, pull up a seat, grab a drink, plug in your ears, and have a listen to Positive Talks, the podcast.
Rise for Disability. Connect, discover, advocate. Explore the future of accessibility. Hands-on demos, latest tech, panel discussions. Have a go, and it's free to attend. Join your community by finding a Rise for Disability near you.
And so here we are again, Jade, you and I reunited after you've been on your travels down to Kent, I think, with Rise for Disability, yes?
Yep. It's been a while. I don't know the last time we was on a show together. Was it? We're only on episode 4, and I think we've done 2 out of 4 together, haven't we?
I know, but hey, ours is a really good relationship. We can work at any time, anywhere, any place. But the key thing is that there's a lot of events that go on around the country, but Rise for Disability is quite different, I think. It brings together the occupational therapy community, their own agenda, effectively, what they want to talk about. And I believe that's what you've been doing down in Kent, isn't it?
Yep, that is. It was really interesting day, and even a couple of days we've set up as well. But as usual, where I'm coordinating the events, I don't ever really get to enjoy the content. So for me, it made a bit of a change to actually go around and speak to some companies and see some products, because of we're doing Positive Talks. I actually got to speak to some companies, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and indeed, some of you might have been there. And if you were, drop us a comment below. Contact us on our socials. We're on Insta, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. Just drop us a line. If you haven't been to an event yet, we'll tell you later about more coming along. So Caitlin went down. Caitlin's my daughter. I couldn't actually make it because I was busy doing the day job and working elsewhere. I will be there for the next one at Milton Keynes, so watch out for that. But Caitlin had quite an interesting chat with Sharon Winsland. Now, Sharon is moving and handling coordinator for Kent Hospitals, and she's also the chair of conference for the National Back Exchange. So sit back, put your ears in, grab a drink, and let's have a listen to what hot topics were on Sharon's mind when she spoke to Caitlin over at Rise for Disability in Kent.
Hi, so what is it that you do?
I'm Sharon. I'm the Senior Moving and Handling Coordinator for East Kent Hospitals, but
Yeah.
I'm also what's known as Conference Director for my national governing body, the Back Exchange. And what my job basically is around making sure our patients have got the right equipment, making sure staff are trained to use the equipment, and make sure we keep our patients moving, because that's the big thing that we fall down on.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay. So, with your job in your area, is there anything that you see as room for improvement?
Massive.
Massive.
Yeah, if you think of patient immobility in general, so when our patients are unwell, no matter what age they are, we decondition quite quickly.
Yeah.
We've been like it ourselves. So if you think that you haven't felt very well and you've laid in bed and you think, oh my God, you feel really rough and you don't want to get out. But what's actually happening to your body, the rest of your muscles that you're not using, therefore, as you decondition, great at your age, you're not going to decondition as quick as probably this old girl will be. However, as you decondition, it's harder for you to get that muscle strength back. So there's an awful lot of equipment out there that we should be utilising to think about how we can get our patients moving. So if my patient's in bed
Yeah.
and they can't turn or move themselves, then we should be looking at a bed that could turn and move them
Yeah.
rather than leave them. Or we should be putting slide sheets in if they're small enough to be able to roll and turn, or we bring equipment in for our larger patients so we can roll and turn. So it is important that we assess each patient's needs from the front door to the discharge door
Yeah, definitely.
to keep them moving.
Definitely. Brought up immobility. So do you see a lot of the immobility growing?
Oh, yeah. I think across the board, I think we are slower in discharging our patients today. That's not the hospital's fault. It's not the nurse's fault.
Yeah.
You know, they do an amazing job just as our community teams do. I think the biggest problem is the fact that blocks in equipment coming through, the cost of equipment coming through, not enough space in the hospitals, not enough bed spaces. So we in ourselves, you know, where we would have had 6-bedded bays, we've now got 8-bedded bays. So if you're using a mobile hoist with a bed directly behind you, you're limited space. So we have to think again, well, how can we manage this space? Well, we need overhead hoist systems. But then that costs more money. So all of these things need to be implemented and forward thinking. And people say all the time that the NHS are in dire straits. I think personally, the NHS are in dire straits. They do an amazing job. We just have to think a way forward to keep these patients mobile. And as I said earlier, there's such good equipment out there. You know, if the patient's fallen on the floor, we shouldn't be having to lift this patient. We should be putting an air device underneath to bring that patient back up.
Yeah. Problem with that is the cost.
Cost.
A lot of things. Cost, staffing. What do you make to the staffing?
I think there is a big issue with staffing. We know this, and I think they feel a bit downtrodden, if I'm honest, because I think they did a lot of work due COVID and not just nurses in general across the board.
Yeah.
However, we've also got to look at, we're still doing things the old-fashioned way. When I started back in the day of the dinosaur, you know, you took 3 or 4 nurses to move a patient because we didn't have hoists, we didn't have slide sheets. I remember using a bin bag once. But today you have a specialist hoist that can actually move your patient for you, 1 or 2 people. You can pop a slide sheet in. You've got these lovely stand aids that you can use to get someone up from a chair and sit them onto the toilet. So are we short of staff, or are we not using the right equipment? Where it would take 2 or 1 person to use that equipment and 4 staff, it means you can utilise your staff in the best way possible. I don't mean to say to get rid of staff.
No.
It's utilising them where they're needed and stop all round one patient. How can we discharge a patient if we've got 4 nurses managing that patient? They won't have that in the community. So the forward thinking means, why are we not using days like today and again at our national conference that we're doing next week, that equipment to be able to keep that patient going?
Yeah. You brought up about using the bin bag the one time. Can you explain more about that story?
We talked about things like, back in the day, as I said, we didn't have slide sheets.
Yeah.
And I had a patient, I wasn't in hospital actually, it was a nursing home. I was just doing a shift in a nursing home for my sister, to be fair. I was covering her shift. And I couldn't move this patient. I had tried and I was hurting myself doing it. So I just saw a bin bag tied. You know when they put the spare bags on top of the bin when they want it to go in the bin? I just put that underneath there because I used to be a farmer many years ago, and you didn't have massive machinery, you know, things that were going to move your machinery. You had to do it yourself. So I just thought, surely that's got to be easier, and actually it did. Big black bag.
Slide sheet.
It did,
yeah.
So I wished I'd taken it further. I might have invented the slide sheet, but
Right. So, any hot topics you want to discuss?
One of my big hot topics at the minute, we spend an awful lot of money. So if you look at any hospital in general, we spend an awful lot of money on beds, which are great. We've gone away from the old King's Fund bed where you pull the backrest out. And that was it, and the patient kept slipping down to these lovely profiling system beds. We're going away to profiling system A&E trolleys. So we've got some amazing bits of kit, but yet we don't take seating in the same way. We stick a back upright chair with a nice cushion on the bottom of it. We assume everyone's the same height. So we have 6 foot something sitting with the knees up to the chest, and we have the 4 foot something sitting up with the feet not touching the floor. And then we expect them to stand from that. You know, back in my day when we got our patients out of bed, first thing in the morning, we toileted them, put them in the chair, made them comfortable, toileted them again at lunch, after lunch, put them back to bed for a few hours. Patients are spending more and more time in bed. So we did, which I'm doing a talk about this morning actually, a huge audit to look at where our problems were, and we found out that probably 90% of our problem with regards to patients getting back in bed was down to the chair. So if for argument's sake you had some form of scoliosis, you wouldn't be able to sit upright. Or if you had a form of dementia, my mum had dementia, you want to be able to feel comfortable and secure so you feel safe. That's what dementia is around, without being a restraint. So the chair needs to be designed that you're, what we like when we're at home, legs up on the sofa,
Being
cushions.
able to adapt, yes, exactly.
And you can't do that with a hospital chair.
No.
So I think a lot of work needs to be thought around seating.
What other problems have you noticed in regard to that?
Well, the biggest problem is when I've gone round and I've done a quick check and asked patients, why are you back in bed? Well, that chair's too uncomfortable. Or I've seen patients, which you will see in some of my slides later, where they put their legs on pillows. They've got 3 or 4 pillows because their feet don't touch the floor.
Yeah.
So those, and it's undignified. So when a patient sits in this chair and they want to go to the toilet, they can't get up and move. So they become so desperate, it increases that risk of falls and pressure damage because they can't move. They're sitting in one position. So they're the biggest problems, I think.
Quite a few problems are coming from it.
It's something we don't think is.
It's not the first thing that comes to mind,
No.
is it?
People
No.
just think, oh, that's us. It's like sometimes you'll go into some very beautiful nursing homes or care homes, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them, and they look gorgeous. But is that chair practical?
Yeah.
Is that practical for that person? And I think it's a big missing link. We do need to start thinking about it.
Definitely. If you have one fall in one area, then it's going to result in more resources, more time, more money to be taken up to help improve and get back to a standard. So.
If you look at cost analysis for any project that you're doing, and I've got stats coming out my ear holes, because if I want a piece of kit, I prove to my trust. And
Yeah.
my trust I work for are amazing, to be fair. But I prove why it's needed. I won't just go and say, I want this fancy piece of kit. So hence my audit is to show there's a
Yeah.
problem. The next thing is to look at solutions. How do we improve on solutions? How do we move it forward? So you need to look at, no trust is going to spend thousands of pounds on just changing something. They don't have that money. But if you prove through risk that you can reduce pressure ulcers, you can reduce falls, you can reduce discharge, length of discharge stays, because the cost of that alone is expensive daily. All of those will pay for the equipment that you need.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So it's looking at the holistic approach to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what steps, what solutions are you taking?
What we've done as a trust itself, as I said, we've looked at the audit, we've done all of that. And the next step is to start looking at what equipment is available that can fill that gap. Because again, I could buy the most fanciest chair that's out there, but that don't mean say it fits you.
Yeah.
Because we're all different. So we need to then look as a trust at going out and looking at all these different pieces of kit and seeing where we can fit them and do a cost analysis around that, where logically we could put it. So I'd like to see a trial on 2 or 3 of our wards, putting this equipment in to see if we reduce falls, see if we reduce tissue damage, and see if we can discharge quicker. And if we can, we're moving in the right direction. And maybe then start building that plan for the rest of the wards going forward.
Definitely. That sounds really, really good. Like a really positive movement. So what's any other positives you can take from this?
I'd like to think that whether it be my mum or dad, sister or brother, whoever it is, that person comes through that front door, has the care, and I know they have the care. I will say this wholeheartedly when people sometimes moan and groan about the NHS. When you work in it and you see the care behind the staff trying to manage those patients and the senior management team trying to put the income back into it to get the best care for our patients, I'd like to see that patient coming through having that, and the discharge process is a lot quicker than what we're doing at the minute. I'd like to see futuristically having more hospitals than we've got. We need, it's something that's a massive link, isn't it? We're getting older. We're never living to
longer,
80s, 90s and 100 years old. So, we're more able-bodied, and when we become unwell, we deteriorate quite quickly.
Yeah.
So these are all the gaps that we need to start backfilling.
We need to start filling them, yeah.
So thinking about future building of our hospitals. And I know NHS England are thinking about that at the minute through the building programme. So the equipment that goes in it is where I'd like to see it. And as you can see, I've got a lot of passion around it.
I can. I love it. I love the passion. I really do. Is there anything else you would like to discuss?
No, I just feel that manual handlers themselves need to take serious consideration around looking at promotion and best practice to stop our patients deconditioning. So working alongside our nurses and our therapists to improve best care. And by stopping our patients from deconditioning and using those equipment, we're also stopping musculoskeletal
Yeah.
which was our biggest aim right at the beginning back in 1992, why it came in with the good old Australian lift when we physically lifted these patients, where we don't do that anymore.
Right back to the start, bringing the focus back to where it needs to be.
Yeah. Patient orientated.
Very patient orientated. Well, it's near done. Nice speaking to you.
And you, thank you very much.
Thank you for taking part.
No, I love to. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was really good to see that interview, because obviously I wasn't there at that point. I have no idea what I was doing. I was probably trying to do AV or setting up some kind of conference setup. Yeah, it is a bit crazy. But that's why it's so good when we go to actual other conferences that I don't set up myself. So I got to go to Back Exchange last week. We bumped into each other, didn't we?
We certainly did. I mean, there's a really inspiring talk there by a chap called Isaac Harvey that some of you might have seen on social media. Does a lot of campaigning for disability, and he's certainly got people thinking and making the point that, you know, we might have policies in place, but they should never exclude each individual person and their own needs. And communication, I think he said, was such an important thing to do as well.
Yeah, I was there supporting Isaac, so I actually got to actually got to experience his talk for the first time. I've been to a few events with him. I've never seen him talk, so it was really, really good, really interesting. And we had some great ideas afterwards on how we can further develop it to help with better education and awareness. Because from my perspective, I've supported Isaac with being able to attend events, both from a point of a moving and handling point, care, etc., but then also advising on equipment provision that helps with him, and also having lived experience and him as a friend. So it's kind of, for me, the education in that and understanding lived experience and stuff for my own professional development is invaluable. And I know one of the moving and handling coordinators that supported Isaac before that I've got for him to attend an event, she found that really useful education. So it's something definitely to look into, like lived experience training, and actually hearing from our clients and what their needs actually are. That's something we try and bring into the content at Rise as well, with our Connected to Care workshops, trying to do it from a scenario based and individual based workshop kind of thing. They usually always work quite well with hands-on. Was there any other particular content that you found interesting at Back Exchange?
There was. I mean, there were some interesting talks. An old friend of mine, a guy called Mark Dearden, presented some research looking at what they call flat lifting techniques. Basically, when people fall, the traditional way to get people up off the floor is to use a hoist. But now with companies like the Flow Jack and the Hover Jack, there's a growing body of evidence that says hoisting isn't the best way of doing it. You can actually have undetected injuries that develop.
I was just about to say that. Usually they say not to move somebody if they've had a fall, because it can impact a risk of more injury. If somebody's broken a bone and you're going to hoist them, obviously weight distribution isn't going to support you to be lifted evenly supported. Whereas the products from GB UK and that they're really good. And I think do a lifting device as well, but do you do a flat one, or is it seated?
It is still flat lifting they're looking at, but he was demonstrating the evidence. He's based up in Leicestershire, and his trust has collated a load of evidence now about why you do not hoist off the floor. So that's really interesting. Other trusts are doing similar, I know. And then the other thing I found quite remarkable, there's a lot of brilliant companies up there. There's Hospital Direct, there was Medstrom, there was of course people like Five who specialise in plus size or bariatric handling. But what I was really impressed with was something on the Medstrom stand, which is a profiling bed for the mental health setting. Now, I'm always fascinated by OTs and others who naively think that manual handling doesn't occur in mental health settings, because of course it does. But when you've got the risk of ligature and so on, profiling beds aren't normally seen as an important aid. This one is brilliant. It is rechargeable battery, no trailing wires. The handset is operated by Bluetooth, and I think that's going to be an interesting product for us to review in future episodes, and maybe see what OTs out and about think to it as well.
I've actually that product in particular, so I think it's on its fourth version, but the original one is Sue Lenihan, that's a moving and handling coordinator within mental health, that actually developed it with Medstrom. and she presented on it at a Rise event about 3 years ago. So we did. She was supported with the development of that product, and she also supported with the development of Direct Healthcare's got a anti-ligature mattress, a profile mattress, where the seam welds are all zipped around. So she actually dealt with the production on that as well. So yeah.
What you're telling me is Rise for Disability were way ahead of everyone else in this product coming out.
No, I didn't say that. I never say such a horrible thing about another company. I'm joking. But yeah, we did. We had Medstrom feet.
In fairness, I think they got awarded the best product at the conference as well, at the National Back Exchange, which was brilliant. However, what I really want to know this episode is, what did I miss out on at Rise for Disability in Kent? Because I'm really a bit miffed I couldn't get to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the work, but I didn't get to it. Caitlin was enthusing about it and telling me all sorts of stuff, but I missed it. So, Jade, what actually occurred? What have we missed if we didn't get to it?
For me, the Connected to Care, not Connected to Care, they were very well attended, because I'm thinking moving and handling, sorry. The community campaigns were really well, and I actually hosted my first ever panel, which was really fun.
Ooh.
And we, the panel was on the obstacles within travel, and we had Isaac on the panel talking about his experience with travel, because he travels mainly by train, but also taxis and airlines. And he was on the documentary recently on Channel 4 for Rights for Flight.
Yeah.
We had Dominic from Rail Delivery Group, does a lot around trains and accessible train journeys, etc. It's really interesting to find out their initiatives, what they're doing for accessibility. Quite promising, and it shows that the trains actually are far more advanced from a point of transport compared to some of the others out there, like buses and airplanes. And worst case was taxis. That's what come up. So I'll tell you a little story about taxi situation in a minute. And then we had Michael from Skywise, that actually he does training for accessibility for airlines, but he also has a very good understanding of the structure of aircraft and knows what's available and what's actually can be implemented and what can't. And we also had Ruth from Hidden Disabilities as well, talking around their initiatives about raising awareness for hidden disability and accessible travel. So it was a really interesting topic, and it couldn't have come from my own experience from them 2 days. So one of the biggest issues with the Kent event I found was travel. So the train station luckily was accessible. However, they'd closed the cross bridge, the footpath, so you couldn't get directly to the venue how you used to, because they closed it off for restructuring. So you had to go all the way around the houses to get somewhere, and that was not, you weren't able to walk or go in a chair to do that distance. So you'd have to get a taxi. So taxis, I think I called about 15 taxi firms local, and I ended up having to call a taxi from Dover and paying the fare for a Dover taxi to go from Dover to Sandwich to be able to pick Isaac up and take him for a 5-minute journey from the train station to the hotel. It cost
just unbelievable.
£40 for a 5-minute
how
journey.
much?
£40 for a 5-minute journey. Yeah.
So wouldn't the rail company or rail track compensate for that, as they're the ones?
It wasn't the rail. It wasn't the rail. It was nothing to do with the train station. It was so there's basically some of it, because it was coastal. It's like a little footpath bridge that's to do with the council.
Oh, it's the council to blame.
Yeah. So that was closed for restructuring because it was like a monumental bridge or something, and you couldn't cross over it. So even our lady that works in marketing had to go and pick her up in the van and then drive a 15-minute journey, for which would have been a 5-minute journey. So travel was just a bit of a sore subject, but it was good to talk about everyone's experiences within that panel. There was another 2 panels, but I unfortunately didn't get to sit in on them. One, we had other hosts doing that one. So we had one on finance, about financial implications, and one on education, which was my husband Adam hosted that one. So yeah, that went really well as well. And then I actually got to go around and do a little bit of film. So Isaac was doing our videography with Alice, so our promo video, which we'll show at the within this episode, may have already been, I don't know, we haven't edited it yet. So if you've seen the video, that was edited by Isaac, and he'll be doing our main promo video in at Milton Keynes as well. amazing videographer, and he does it all with his feet. So it's really good as a topic to look at for adaptations in technology at some point. I think you've covered that with Adapt IT, haven't you?
We have done, yeah, but there's so much going on in technology. All I can say is that if he's doing it the way he is, then that's an amazing feat from Isaac when he does it.
Yeah, but so with that, obviously, I went around, looked at some products, did a little bit of filming, and I actually got to do an interview for Positive Talks with Mobility in Motion. So are you aware of Mobility in Motion, Mike?
I know a little bit about them, but I need to know more. So I'm wondering, do you think you might be able to share with us your interview and we can see what happened with that talk with Mobility in Motion?
It's a pretty in-depth interview, go around the whole of the vehicle, and also we have our good friend Ria demonstrating a transfer in it as well. So we've actually got somebody with lived experience of disability using the product, so you can see what their experience was using it as well. So I hope you enjoy this interview from Rise. I'm Jade and I'm from Positive Talks. I'm here at Rise for Disability, and I'm going to take a look around the demonstration vehicle from Mobility in Motion and see what options there are available. Jade here from Positive Talks, and we're at Rise doing recordings of our companies live, and we've got Mobility in Motion, and Justin's going to tell us a little bit about the vehicle setup we've got here.
Perfect. Shall I start with the boot hoist?
Yeah,
okay. So here we have our LC80 boot hoist. This is a 4-way, so we've got four buttons on the handset here. So we're going to press the up direction, raise it off the boot floor. You're going to press the out direction, perhaps a little bit of guidance because the scooter's quite long.
Am I okay to see
of course.
how much that moves? Yeah, so it's minimal.
So fit a little bracket to the seat post there, which sets the balance for us. So you can see it's perfectly balanced, it's nice and safe and secure. Last thing we need to do is just press the down direction and bring it down to the ground.
It's quite smooth actually. Is there a weight limit and height capacity? Or
depends on the car.
Okay.
Yeah. We do hoists anything up to 200 kilos, so we've got full range there, depending on what's being lifted.
So it's just obviously the clearance type.
Yeah, literally that, That's down to us to measure everything up, make sure it's going to fit.
And I suppose when you're looking at the mounting it, depending on the shape and the size, you'd have different mounting systems.
Yep, lots of different brackets available. We can do power chairs, manual wheelchairs, scooters, all sorts. Yeah,
Okay.
Loads of different brackets available for different weights, different shapes, sizes. Just depends on the cars. We've got loads of different frames to fit the cars and different hoists to suit. Majority of the range, all of the Auto Chair ones are detachable, so they'll all have split pins at the top here.
Yeah.
There's a little pin, if I get my hand out of the way, you just pull it up at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then down the bottom here, you'll have a little plug. You just pull the catch, separate it, the whole
Okay.
arm can lift off. So you can get it completely out of the boot if you want to. You're left with
Can
just
I
the
see
frame.
the weight of that?
Yeah, it's about 6 kilos, give or take.
Yeah,
So,
it's not too bad. What's options with like costs and that? Is it
So price, I mean, it depends if Motability are involved. Then sure. With Motability funding, it'll either be a contribution price or privately. We've got a whole list of retail prices available there.
What's the lowest price from?
$12.95 off the top of my head. That's a small 40 kilo folding one like we've got on that one over there. We do 3 different 40 kilo folding ones. And then they go all the way up to about 2,200 off the top of my head.
Yeah, but then I suppose when you're looking at the cost again, what we was talking about earlier on, which wasn't on camera, I was talking about the costs of having to have a WAV and wait for a WAV in comparison, and
totally.
It is a cost saving. So
yep.
As an OT, that's what they always look to try and support with clients,
Definitely,
to get the best from their money, and
quickest, easiest solution perhaps.
And also keeping people with the products they want as well, rather than having to go into a power chair, then having to have a WAV. And if somebody
adapt a car, rather than being a sort of more van-like vehicle. A hoist will lift it up and into a car that's higher up, like this, for instance.
Sure.
Just depends on what people are looking to lift, really.
And
the car they're looking for. But obviously, we're always on hand to assist with that as well. We've got loads of info, and we're always ready to give guidance on finding the right cars.
Tell me a little bit about the history of, because you've Mobility in Motion's recently, you've merged like 3 different, is it 3 or 4 different brands?
Yeah, so we're part of the Auto Chair family, if you like. So what we found is, as Auto Chair, we weren't able to fulfill everybody's needs,
Yeah.
essentially, because we only had so many products. So this is
Yeah.
what I found anyway, because I was an auto chair rep.
Because
So-
you get asked all the other questions, because that's what
Exactly,
happens
yes.
when you're a rep. is-
Exactly, yes.
And especially if you're working with an OT, they'd be like, oh, do you also do this, or do you know someone
exactly
who does this?
right,
And then
yeah.
you end up signposting. So
Exactly.
It's, yeah, makes sense.
Everybody's passing each other around. Yeah, and the customers at the end of it are not receiving the best service.
No,
So
that's right.
and getting confused along the way. So we launched Mobility in Motion. We are the UK distributors for Brawn Ability.
Yeah.
Brawn Ability are a Swedish vehicle adaptations manufacturer. So we do the chair toppers. A full swivel seat range
Yeah.
on behalf of those. Obviously, auto chair range of hoists that we still do, and then brigade controls
yeah.
as well. So we do their hand controls.
all in one place. So anyone that needs any kind of adaptation, they come to you, and
Exactly,
you can
yes.
advise them.
We do more than that as well. We work with a lot of other companies and can provide their products as well. So
Yeah.
if a customer's had a driving assessment or prefers a certain sort of adaptation,
Yeah.
then we've got contacts. So, we'll be
Okay.
able to look after
That's
that as
really
well.
good.
Our fitters are trained on a lot of different products, so we've got a full range there.
That's
So,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll quickly whiz this back in. There we go. And then all of our kits come with a restraint
Oh, okay.
when they're
Stops them
with
moving
the
about.
auto
That's
chair
good.
range. Yep. So you can belt it
Okay.
in, and then it's nice and secure as well.
Fab.
Simple but effective.
The control looks nice and easy to use as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome to have a go if you wanted, but yeah, it's just 4 buttons, up and down, in and out, as easy as that. So three gets it out, 3 back in, basically,
Yeah.
on and off, and
How light touch are they? So I don't want to take
it-
the whole thing out because I know you've just put it in.
yes, no, you can do. They're just gummy buttons.
Yeah, they're nice and soft to
yeah, a
press.
bit like
that's
the
fine.
riser recliner chairs and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are harder than that, to be fair. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's a recently revised one. It also automatically switches off now after
Okay,
5
that's
minutes.
good,
So
yeah.
there's no chance of it draining your car
Yeah.
battery or anything.
All right, thank you. What next have we got? So we have our good friend Ria here, who is is not only a good friend, but she's also a fan of Positive Talks, and she's come today at Rise to try loads of different products. So we're going to get Ria's experience of using the Brawn Ability swivel seat and see what her experience is from a lived experience perspective.
Hi, I'm Ria. I'm a model and a freelancer advocate for disabilities. Here we are discussing about accessibility, getting in and out of a car. I have this powered wheelchair from Wheelchair Services, and I have a WAV, but I'm trying to look for a manual chair and to downsize on my vehicle. So these guys have this amazing vehicle that I'm going to test out today and show you what adaptations we have.
Okay, so this is the Brawn Ability Tourney Evo swivel seat. So the beauty of these is they not only come out the door, but they actually raise and lower to suit a transfer height. So all I'm doing there is quite simply just pressing the in or out direction on the handset. You'll notice that the handset actually lights up either red or green when the buttons are available. So it's nice and clear and easy to use. So I think first port of call would be to get you transferred.
See, I like how the armrests go up on
Yep,
them
you can
as
get
well.
them out
Oh,
the
that's
way.
really
Yep.
comfy.
You
More
can get them
comfy
out the
than
way
my
or bring
chair.
them down, whatever suits. So all you'll quite simply need to do is just push and hold the in direction. What you'll notice is that it will slowly raise you up and it will bring you towards the car, and then it's just a case of manoeuvring your feet as it swivels your body through the gap.
That is amazing.
That is literally all you need to do. The forward direction has now become green because the seat is fully rotated to its start-off position. So you can still, if you were to press that momentarily, you can move the seat forward and back to adjust for comfort as well. So,
Oh wow. Hands-free, I like it.
that's
Not much effort.
So you can go forward and back. So certainly if you were to have one of these on the driver's side, for instance, then you can adjust it for your
Yeah,
driving
because I'm
position.
probably looking to start driving as well and stuff. But
Yeah.
again, it's the adaptations we wouldn't know, and this would be really handy.
Yeah, Yeah.
Or
maybe
whether
something
I'm
like
not
this would work,
comfy
so-
or whether my partner can adjust his seat and move it back and forth, but
And you
ours is
can't on it,
complete
yeah.
unit, and it's like, no,
Okay.
I can't.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
is really comfy.
Perhaps something like
Really
this
comfy
would
and
do the
really
job for you.
helpful, yeah.
Yeah, so let's bring you out. So all you need to do is just push and hold the out direction. So what you might notice, because we were
Yeah.
slightly forward, it always goes to its furthest back position and
I
starts
like
off,
how
so-
it adjusts itself as well,
Yeah,
rather than sitting.
And just as you're doing there, it's just getting your feet through the gap. And then
That's
it's a case of
absolutely wonderful.
transferring.
Wow. It really does open your eyes to what it shows out there.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate you guys coming to these sort of events and bringing this sort of equipment, because
Yeah.
it really opens the doors and gives us people like the information it's readily there. But if I hadn't have come today, I wouldn't have known about you guys.
Yeah.
And now I've got my freedom
There
back.
we do.
So
There
I
we go.
can tell my partner now.
You got some options, yes.
You guys
Yeah.
are definitely our
Means
go
you can be
first.
independent, so
Exactly. It means I have my
absolutely.
independence as well as a stylish garden and a big
Yep.
wav.
Yep. Yep.
Amazing, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no trouble at all. That's brilliant. So that is the Braun Ability Tourney Evo swivel seat.
So I'm now going to be trialling some driving aids in the Mobility in Motion demonstration vehicle.
That's it. So this, quite simply, is a mechanical push-pull.
Yep.
So the idea is you pull it to accelerate and you push to brake.
Yeah.
What you'll notice is the accelerator and the brake pedals are both moving as we're doing that.
Okay, yeah.
So we've literally, via little
so I
rods,
don't need to, okay.
mechanically made a way of converting it to a hand control. So it's a nice simple solution. What you've also got on the steering wheel here, this is a multi-function steering ball. So that has now got the, you've got pretty much all your indicator stalk functions up on the steering wheel. You can have up to 13 functions on those.
Basically, would in theory drive with your two hands and then have that.
Yes,
available
exactly.
and that,
So you're doing your steering with the steering ball and accelerating and braking on there.
Oh, don't want to die.
push to brake. Yeah.
Okay. That's surprisingly easy. That is.
Yeah. And they can.
But it's more for me. It's more not being able to reach. It's the continuous movement. So
Yeah.
steering ball would be quite good, and then even having that option's quite good
Yeah,
for driving.
yeah.
Because it is that when you've got lower back problems as well. Like when you're constantly doing that all the time
Yeah.
with your feet. That's
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Exactly that.
I suppose it becomes second nature at some point.
It absolutely does, yeah. Quickly, so this is another solution. That conversation actually led me directly onto this quite nicely. So this is what's called an over-ring. So you've noticed there's a little bracket fitted here.
Yeah.
So these are, again, quick release for multiple users, but the idea with
I
this
think I'm
is...
getting where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. So what we can do with this is basically override your throttle. So now you've got acceleration up there.
Oh wow!
So-
you don't even need to do that.
Exactly, because as you rightly pointed out, after, let's say, a long motorway journey or something like that, you might be holding this constantly.
Yeah.
That can make your arm ache for anybody.
Yeah.
So now this is an option of getting the throttle up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stretch out then like that.
What you'll also notice as well is if you rev it and then put your foot on the brake while holding that, it will cut the engine. So if you put your foot on the brake now, it cuts it.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fail-safe. So as soon as you touch the brake,
yeah,
that
because
throttle
I
is
suppose with some
cut
people
off.
it's always the worry when they're doing something new is the safety element
Totally,
of it.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's-
There's also a park function, which if we were to press that, it reduces the acceleration to
Yeah.
50% or
that's the
sometimes
same
60.
as what it's
so-
got in the cars with the park function.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I can show you are the pedal adaptations. So what we've got fitted on this is what's called a twin flip. So we can actually flip the
Oh,
accelerator
change
down
it.
and pop it onto the left side. Equally, just as in the same way as I did that, we could actually flip it up and get rid of it altogether. So you could use the leg room.
So you can flip that.
Just like you've done, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so if you're using your hand controls, now you've got plenty of leg room.
Yeah, that's true because then
Yeah.
you can stretch out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is also quite a good solution. There's all sorts of pedal guards we can do. So if you don't want to be flipping them out the way, you can put a guard across the pedals.
So even with them flipped up, that still.
That would still work, yeah. It's just
Okay.
operating the throttle.
That's cool.
That is electronic.
Oh.
And we can mix it up. I mean, there's loads of hand control options, but this is just mechanics. But you can have a mechanical push brake with an electronic pull to accelerate, which is a little bit softer on the hand. But,
Yep, sure.
there's all sorts
Yeah,
of things
I
we
mean,
can
to
do
be
with
fair,
that.
that's quite easy to do as well. But now that you've felt that, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As I say, you can have them on some cars on the underside.
Can you change the position of this?
There's
Okay,
all
because that's
sorts.
enough. So I suppose you can just change the arm position so it's more
Yep,
here.
This can be extended. The rods can be
And
extended.
can that be brought further forward
Yeah,
if you
we
want to
can
do it?
tweak
Because
that,
that's what I was going to say that, and then like that because it's more.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, it's actually having contact with the backrest.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
having to do that, you're obviously having to. I know
Yeah,
the chair's
you're
not
sort of
great where I'm
leaning
set
into
up,
it, yeah,
but
yeah.
if it's like more
Yeah.
there where you could angle it, that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you said
can
they're the
have them on
windscreen wipers, aren't they? So
That would, in this scenario, that would be for
indicators.
your indicators.
Sorry.
Yes.
And then you said the other thing
yeah,
was.
exactly. Yeah.
It's like you said, there is loads of potential.
We'll always explore these ideas as well.
Yeah,
You know, no two people are the same, and you know, adaptations.
And
are.
it's really good you say that and notice that as well as a
Yeah.
like manufacturer, because
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it is like a very like one solution scenario
Yeah.
where you choose to have loads of different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. We're quite happy to explore anything and everything really, if it's going to help somebody
Yeah,
out.
that sounds good.
So this is one of many different types of transfer plate. All do the same job. This one is the auto chair one, which braces and fits underneath the seat frame. So you just click it on and then pull a little brace here to release it.
Okay.
So it can be a simple but effective way. Sometimes that's all somebody needs to just get
Just to get into the car.
You can get them where they flip up and then sit next to the B pillar
Flip back,
here.
yeah. So it's like a pull down. and
Exactly.
up, yeah.
Yep. And then you can get electronic ones as well, which raise and
Okay.
lower. Which they're
And they
quite-
go lower as well.
yeah, I mean, there's a bit of adjustment in these. We do a lot of custom installs as well, so it depends. We try and get them to match the bolster
The
height as best
bolster height,
possible, but
I
yeah,
think it depends on somebody's core and whether
Yes.
they can pull themselves out.
Ex-
because
exactly,
sometimes you see
yeah.
flip in can be restrictive. but-
exactly. And there's electric ones of these, as I say, so you can get them where you.
And if they're powered, so you can lower it down, but then
Yeah.
also the opposite, you can bring it higher as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
So you
For a
can
car like
do
this, it's
that.
higher up.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the next step up, really, from the sort of banana board kind of setup,
Yeah.
but
You should
considerably
do these for beds
safer.
as well. The
Yeah.
powered ones
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean,
great.
yeah, yeah. Speak to head office.
That would be a good solution
Yeah.
if it goes up and
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
down there, to be fair.
But yeah, I mean, for somebody trying to maintain driving independently, obviously we've got the swivel seats. This is another little solution for getting in and out,
Sure.
which is
That sounds
quite handy. If you want to take a perch on that, I'll show you how the chair topper works, because it does work really well with that.
Trying to do this modestly.
So all you'd have to do then, so as you could imagine, now getting to the back of the car to get your mobility device out might not necessarily be an option. So somebody might be able to drive, but they can't necessarily get to the back of the car to load
Which I
and stow the
think
chair.
even that itself needs to be a concept that's people understand and learn, because there's this misconception that if somebody's in a wheelchair they can't drive. When they can. So
As we are
but there's
proving.
also people themselves with a disability that don't realise they can drive as well, because they don't know what's available.
Again, as we are proving, this is why we're trying to get out there and just show this. And this is exactly why we don't pull up with a van as well, because it's not your typical car that turns up.
Sure.
It shows that you can adapt a car.
Yeah.
And these are all brilliant solutions to
Yeah.
do that. As you see, I mean, you just push and hold the out button, and that will open up and drop the chair next to the car. So it will do a manual wheelchair that folds up with the seat canvas in the middle, up to 20 kilos. So really is a nice solution to avoid having.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't see it from this angle.
Yeah, and down it drops. It's
That's really
so
good.
that's it. I'll tell you when to start. Probably let go of the button now. And basically the little bar. I don't have to do it, but the little bar just slides out of the seat canvas there to release it,
And then just send it back up.
and then up it goes. And you'd be able to transfer into the chair from there on.
Yeah, so I think from a point of with Positive Talks and what we do on the podcast and that, and obviously for OTs, is that I've just done a presentation with Motability as well, and from an OT perspective it's really important to know what type of car and what's available as well, and obviously like the in-between and the assessment process, and to have an understanding of the client and what's actually available. So this has been really interesting, and I'm sure everyone will enjoy watching it.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. That's what we do.
Thanks, Justin. That was really informative, and not only for me, but I'm sure for a lot of different OTs watching, they'll be really interested for their clients and to actually know what's available. So,
Brilliant.
thanks for coming for Rise, and thanks for showing me around. It's great. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
Now that was fascinating, and I never realised there's so many possibilities. And thank you, Ria, for showing us what it really is like. I think, do you know, there's one thing that really irritates me. It's when you see adverts for products, and I do take on board there are hidden disabilities, but you see a product for someone with mobility difficulties, and the person modelling it appears to have no mobility difficulties whatsoever. That really irritates me. So
And
having
I guess as an OT, you'll know how to call that out, because I'm a bit like that as well, where I'll be like, it'd be interesting to see what you would work with my client.
Just a little bit. So thank you, Ria. Lived experience is so important, and I know with Isaac, with his lived experience, it makes such a difference. It really does, and we should never undervalue that. Now, I'm just aware that if I missed all this time round, I cannot miss any more. So I've already booked it into my calendar, and I've got the 22nd of October booked for Rise for Disability at Milton Keynes. Now, I'm very keen to get to Milton Keynes, possibly one of the newest cities there has been. Someone told me that when they originally constructed Milton Keynes, they put concrete cows out and about in the countryside. Don't ask me why. Perhaps it was to cement their idea as a new town. Who knows? But it's one of the most welcoming places to go. So Rise for Disability is making its way to Milton Keynes on the 22nd of October. I will be there this time, and I will also be at the future events. I think we've got Glasgow November the 5th, and then we've got a few other events cropping up as well. So flashing across the screen will be your details of how to register. It's never too late to register. But Jade, what is cropping up at Rise for Disability at Milton Keynes?
So the event will be held at Marshall Arena, which is a really nice venue next to MK Dons football stadium, which I might add, MK Dons, from a point of accessibility for a football stadium, it's amazing. You go straight onto like a platform 2, so anyone that's in a chair or needs access can see the pitch from above. So it's all been designed to be accessible from that point. Don't worry, we're not doing the event on the football pitch. It's actually a venue that's attached to it. So
no, I can understand why you're pitching the idea. And we'll kick that one around a bit, I think, Jade, and see where we go with that.
So within the event, we've got our therapy integration theatre, which has got a bit of a mix mash kind of feel with Milton Keynes, because it's not just Milton Keynes. Obviously, we've got Luton, Bedfordshire, Northamptonshire. I think it's Northamptonshire. Not Beds, Buckinghamshire. Is it Beds or Bedfordshire? Sorry.
I think there's Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Northamptonshire have all got the potential to get to Milton Keynes. In fact, possibly it's only about an hour and a half from Birmingham if anyone wants to come down from there.
In London, I think that, well, me and Isaac, when we got the train, it's like 30 minutes, not even that, 25 minutes from London Euston train station. And
yes, but remember, it takes you an additional 90 minutes to get from one platform to the other if things don't work properly. Oh, no, that was Kent. Sorry, that was Kent. I'm sure Milton Keynes.
I would say this one's pretty straightforward. And it was music to my ears the second I got off the taxi, because I went with Kerry to view the venue a couple of weeks ago. And when I got off the train, there was literally a queue of WAVs waiting to pick us up outside the taxi rank. I was like, oh, there's loads of WAVs. So I went up and it's like,
so lots of wheelchair accessible vehicles. That's wonderful. That's really good. And maybe some make room for those concrete cows. They
said to me, sorry, made me laugh. They said to me that they actually have a certain amount of drivers that have to have a wheelchair accessible vehicle license. So it's an actual type of taxi license, and they can only drive WAVs as part of their license. So the guy that picked me up was like, oh, I'm really interested in your rent because I have to get a new WAV next year to renew my license. So having something like that within the council is exactly what's needed to bring back to the travel panel, because that was one of the outcomes, is that how do we implement making accessible taxis more available? And that it shows you that works, because there was literally a line of 6 WAVs sitting outside a train station at a random time in the day. And I got informed that they work past 5 p.m. as well, which was really, really interesting. So,
And the stupid thing is, if I mean, not only is there the £Purple Pound, which of course is the money spent by people in the disabled community, but it makes it so much better for everybody. If you're somebody with a young child in a buggy, it makes it easier. If you've got your heavy shopping to get in, it makes it easier. So why people don't make things more accessible, I don't know. It just seems so stupid in 2024.
I know I've digressed a bit about WAVs and talking about that, but we do have WAVs at our event as well. So if anyone is interested, we have Mobility in Motion and a couple of other WAV companies as well that will be there. So vehicle adaptations covered. We've got mobility equipment, wheelchairs, scooters, walking aids, etc. That's covered. We've got moving and handling equipment, postural management equipment. We have assistive technologies, gaming, neurodiversity support services. There's a whole range of different disability exhibitors there. We've got a Have a Go area, which is doing sports, performances, and some different kinds of talks within the main arena. Then we've got our therapy integration theatre, which, as I was saying before, which I got distracted by talking about WAVs. From a point of presentations, we've got the NHS, so from the hospitals presenting. We've got somebody around the new hospital programme talking about that initiative. We've got the equipment provider contractor for their OT therapy team doing presentations. And then we've got loads of different equipment providers doing talks. And we also have ones from a point of like education. So we've got Tradie Heritage doing a talk about transitioning from children's to adult services. We've got legal firms. There's loads of different ranges of topics and content going on. And then we've got our community campaigns again. So the ones that we are covering for that is mental health and living with a disability, which I know is a really important topic. So it's looking at how mental health services are set up to support with disability, which we know there's a lack of. Travel, again, so obstacles within travel, looking at more Milton Keynes kind of area within travel, and also employment and inclusive accessible employment is our other campaign. So that's the agenda for Milton Keynes. And please register. It's free to attend. Website's down below. Click on Milton Keynes, or if you're not in Milton Keynes area, we still have Scotland and Sunderland to register. We will hopefully be returning back to Milton Keynes and Kent next year as well. So just keep your eyes peeled on the website, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, and a couple of extra things to add to that. You might remember, folks, those of you that subscribe, by the way, have a look at the links below. Subscribe, follow us on Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on. But you will remember that way back, I think in our second or possibly third podcast, the second podcast, we featured a company called Adapt IT. And I believe they're launching or revealing a product to enable individuals who don't have speech to be no. Do you know, I've got so confused. There are so many things there, but come along, meet Simon and the team.
Speech recognition is something.
Yes. Sorry, Jade, carry on. You were saying they're doing.
No, that's saying it's to do with speech recognition. So I think it's to do with voice activate, but it's not to do with voice, is it? Sound or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's something
that's probably the best thing to do is we will interview them and get a sneak peek of the product whilst we're there.
That's a brilliant idea. And even better than that, you will have Jade and myself there. The Positive Talks podcast will be there, and we will be doing interviews, as Jade said. We'll be looking for hot topics. So if you're coming along, volunteer yourself, or else you may be volunteered, and we can hear what's relevant to you in your world. If you've got any books that you've read that you think might be relevant to other people in the occupational therapy or disability or neurodivergent world, come along and share them with us. But it should be a really good time, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it and hoping to catch up with a lot of you guys who have already started to subscribe to this podcast. So thank you very much indeed.
I'm going to drop a little bombshell for you there, Mike. So we actually have a podcast studio at Milton Keynes where we've got other people doing podcasts, and now that we have this StreamYard studio set up, we might toy with the idea of doing a live stream from there for hot topics. What do you think about that?
I think I need to think about that, but it does sound exciting. Folks, you've been absolutely wonderful tuning in to us and giving us support. Our network is slowly growing. We always want to hear from you because this is really your podcast, not ours. There will be features cropping up in the future. There's interviews already lined up. We've got people who are doing some amazing work and want to share what they're doing. We've got products that we're reviewing to look at. But for now, I think, Jade, we've just about got to the end of our programme this time round, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. In the meantime, keep your positive talks going. And one more time, if you look across the bottom of the screen, you'll see ways to contact us on Insta, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course, subscribe, hit that bell and follow us, and spread the positive talks to your colleagues as well. So for now, from me, it's goodbye. And Jade?
See you later. Hope to see you at Rise.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.